test bench. Now, the first thing that stands out to me immediately about these suckers is the fact that even though they go in the same socket, you can actually see that the Xeon chip, look, my hands are shaking, I'm super stoked on this. You can see that the Xeon chip is significantly wider, and it will actually overhang the socket a little bit compared to what the Core i7 chip did. Now, this is for a very good reason, because each of those physical cores in the die down there is the same size as the 8 that go in here, but there's 18 of them, 18 cores. So they're going to be spread out quite a bit more under the integrated heat spreader, the metal piece on top. Now, one of the cool things about these Xeons is that, you might go, 18 cores, holy cow. Oh, we better put some new thermal compound on there. 18 cores, holy cow. How, are they going to cool that sucker? Well, because they have so many lower powered cores running at a lower voltage, and because the power density is so much lower, they're actually significantly easier to cool, and it will in theory run cooler than our fewer high-powered cores. So I am really stoked to see how our single 120mm water cooler fares with this bad boy. Okay, now Xeons aren't really meant to be used with gaming memory, so we actually had Kingston for the dual processor server that we're building with this thing. Right. We had Kingston provide 128 gigs, so that's 8 by 16 gig sticks of ECC DDR4 2133. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull our gaming memory out, but I'm not 100% sure if this board even supports ECC, so... Okay, moment of truth time. Let's see if she boots.
Get those for sure.
Oh, is this powered on? Oh, balls. Oh, here we go. That took a really long time. There it is, new CPU installed. 64 gigs of RAM, E5 2699 V3 at 2.3 gigahertz. So, yeah, I guess all that's left now is boot into Windows. Check that out, CPU core voltage, 0.784 volts. Next to nothing. You're gonna miss the moment! It's installing driver software. Oh, that's just USB devices. Okay, I guess the CPU works already. Fine then. I don't know. Maybe those. Holy crap. Have you ever seen 18 threads and, 18 cores and 18 hyper-threaded virtual cores in one place at one time? That is fantastic. There's our 45 megs of level 3 pack. There's our 18 by 256 gigabytes. Wow, this thing has multiple megabytes, so 4.5 megs of level 2 cache. Never mind the level 3 cache.
Yeah.
Memory is running in quad channel. Now, something I'm curious about is, obviously this chip is not designed for gaming, strictly speaking, but I wonder, will it support the regular unbuffered memory? Let's take a run at it, shall we? So since we're playing around anyway, we're going to boot her up with our quad channel kit of Corsair Vengeance memory, and I'm just going to see if XMP memory works, because I can't imagine why it would, but I also can't necessarily think of a reason why not. I mean, would Intel turn a feature off on the $4,500 processor? It boots. And if we go to advanced mode, XMP is an option. Oh, I don't think that's gonna work though. I don't know, let's see. Yeah. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna let it try. I don't think this is gonna work though. The way XMP works on the consumer grade chips is it'll actually run the CPU strap at 125 megahertz. And then it's actually going to run the base clock slightly out of spec. And I really don't like that.
Oh, no.
I don't think it is. It's in a loop right now. It's not happening. Time to clear CMOS and restart.
Yes.
You know what, let's do 2666, since that is a little bit of a safer number. Oh, not happy. Let's go for default settings, and that's it. Okay, so now that I'm booted up, I know the max turbo frequency for this chip is 3.5 gigahertz in a single-threaded workload, which means in theory, you actually could game on the thing, and there would be no disadvantage compared to running on a consumer chip. But what I don't know is that in spite of its 2.3 gigahertz base clock, what it will run at under a sustained all-core load. So there's two things I want to know. I want to know what voltage it actually runs at when we're loading it, and I want to know what frequency it actually runs at. So you can see turbo boost and speed step jumping around, changing frequencies here. So let's start our IDA64 stability test, and then just for fun, 100% usage of 18 cores and 36 threads. So it looks like we're gonna get a multiplier of 24. Not bad. So it's a little bit higher, not much higher. It manages to turbo boost another, 100 megahertz. But that's better than nothing. And the core voltage stays extremely low. So these are super low power cores. So I'm gonna go eat lunch, and we'll come back and find out what these temps settle in at. All right, so this is actually better than I expected. It's been sitting here running for 28 minutes, and our highest core is 51, 52 degrees, something like that. That is ridiculous. So let's overclock it. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to do much. Xeons, straight up, do not allow you to change the multiplier. They're not consumer chips. They're not intended for that. So the only thing you can do on a Xeon is increase the base clock speed. Now, we already saw what happened when we tried to run a different strap, so that's clearly not happening. We're not going to 125 base clock. So all we can really do is maybe we can get, 5 megahertz more on the 100 megahertz stock base clock. But remember, guys, 5 megahertz more is 5% to every clock speed we run at every boost level. So that could result in a significant performance improvement, especially when you multiply it by 18 cores. That's like adding almost another core to the chip. Look at that. 105 megahertz. We are now seeing, well, I guess we should compare apples to apples. So let's run our stress test. 2.73 gigahertz. I'm rounding up a little bit. Come on, it's still impressive. On our 18-core processor under full load. How very interesting. Now, obviously, something like this is going to need a longer stress test if you're going to deploy it in any kind of environment. And 105 megahertz, from my understanding, is actually pretty borderline. So we're actually going to use ASUS's real bench in order to hit this bad boy and find out over a longer period of time if she's stable. So RealBench has two modes. One of them is a stress test mode and one is a benchmark mode. So let's go ahead and give her up to 16 gigs of RAM and start. All right, so RealBench, I thought it was still running for quite some time, but the system actually locked up after about 14 minutes. So we're gonna dial this puppy back. Let's say 103 megahertz. Let's try this again and find out if we can get her stable. Okay, so now we're booted up at 103 megahertz base clock. So let's do our 8-hour stress test again and find out if this is stable. This will still give us a 3% improvement in frequency, which will, hey, come back. Actually, this is not the same kind of a workload. So you guys can see that even in a fairly multi-threaded workload, we're actually sitting at 2.88 gigahertz per core. Wow. So it's only in that synthetic IDA workload that the multiplier is only going to 24. That is really impressive. So it looks like our 8-hour run actually did succeed, which means that we're stable. for all intents and purposes,
Oh, dang it, yes.
at a 3% overclock on our Xeon. So now all that's left is to run a couple benchmarks and kind of see how it goes from there. So those of you who are into Cinebench, why don't we go ahead and do a multi-threaded Cinebench R15 bench.